Hey everyone, hope you all well and enjoying the weather. It is hot. So this is going to be a bit of a random video because this idea has popped into my head and it's been, you know what I'm like. I think about things and then I jump on them and I take them to the fullest extent. But it's a really interesting idea, and if you think about it in your life, I can imagine that most men can connect with this in some way. And this is about men, but also, as everything, it connects directly to women as well. Because we're in the 21st century, 2022, and we are still dealing with evolutional changes to our bodies and our brains that were decided 2 million years ago. Okay, and the main change that I want to talk about is testosterone. So I think of myself as a quite highly driven, testosterone-y based man. Okay, a lot of the things I do are based around achievements. Achievements mainly being based on doing stuff, like actiony stuff. I don't get a huge amount out of doing an exam. It has to be something physical, generally. Something that I look at and I think, that is going to be really hard and I'm going to do it. And that gives me a big amount of achievement. But I've also had a lot of problems with testosterone. It works in both ways, okay? It can get you in a lot of trouble when it comes to the female race, okay? Especially when the female race knows about it. And let's be honest, without beating around the bush, they do. Sex cells, the best way to attract a male, initially, mainly when we're looking at like appearance, is to get the testosterone going, right? And men do this thing where, when testosterone is engaged, we don't think with this, we think with that. Okay, it ain't a secret. Okay, it gets us fired up. It allows us to do things which we wouldn't normally do. It also makes us do things that we wouldn't normally do. It also is our biggest weakness as well as our biggest strength. And for me, it's another hormone. And anyone who knows about me knows that obviously my condition with my thyroid is hormonal, right? It's the hormonal chemistry set. It doesn't work properly, okay? But even before that, I knew that's the way I was, and some blokes aren't. Some blokes are not, they're definitely, more balanced towards the kind of like in the middle, sometimes even, like the kind of the female hormone, which is the estrogen, that they're quite sensitive and family orientated and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that people with high testosterone can't be family orientated, because I've got a child and I am, but it's definitely a bigger input into my life, okay? But what got me thinking is like, this evolutionary decision, hormonally, was made, however it was made, 2 million years ago, when we were fighting mammoths and running around with little cloths around our groins, and it was like a drug. We feel threatened. We need to get away. We need to fight that freaking huge mammoth or that saber-toothed tiger. Let's turbocharge this freaking system we got. And that's what testosterone is. Now, women don't have that, or at least not on the level that we do. And that's because back then, women had a different role, okay? Now, everyone knows that women can be just as aggressive as men. And we see that in relationships all the time. Domestic violence within a relationship is is just as bad in women against men as men against women. It's just that men don't talk about it as much. The same as depression, but that's a different story altogether. But it gets me thinking, we're still using these chemicals, this same system that we used 2 million years ago. Now, we don't live in a system where there's flipping mammoths. We don't have to deal with these threats. We deal with different threats. But, you know, when you're out pissing up, throwing alcohol down your throat, it revs this system up, okay? And that's why people do stupid stuff. Blokes fighting when they've got alcohol in their system, you know. People do stuff like, you know, out of their normal thought process. And it's just a really interesting fact, because I was speaking about like relationships, and I was speaking about how some people feel threatened. You know, some blokes feel threatened by women, and they feel they have to control them, okay? And the same the other way around. And it's all about this hormonal balance, because everyone's different, okay? But it's all about understanding it. We need to understand how this controls us, because we live in a different life, okay? We can't be getting switched on all the time. There's a use for this hormone. I've used it. When I did my commando course, we were pretty much used, it's anger, right? It's the ability to switch anger on. It's controlled anger, controlled aggression is what they called it, all right? Controlled aggression, and that is pushed by testosterone, okay? That is why in the past, Royal Marines, Special Forces, these infantry units have mainly been men. And it's nothing about women not being good enough, because they're open now, people have passed it, that's fine. But I feel there probably won't be a time when these units are switched, i.e. the women are the majority, because it's just biologically, it's just, I don't know, maybe I might be proven wrong, but biologically, I don't see how that's going to happen. People like to argue about it being sexist and all this kind of stuff. It's nothing about sexist, okay? It's about biologically thing. You know, there's some women out there who beat the fuck out of me. Okay, that's fine. Okay, because they, you know, and I'm sure they can, you know, lift and carry burdens and do anything just as much as other men can, okay? And good for them. But when we're talking about hormone, or we're talking about what was made up a long time ago, okay? And no part of kind of politics or trying to balance out the equation, because, you know, it's not right that there's more women here and it's not right there's more men here, is going to change that, unless you want to start pumping people full of flipping fake hormones to try and balance them up, okay? You know, but the same argument can be said about, you know, like women make better mothers and parents than blokes, and that's completely wrong. So this is just my view, okay? I'm just trying to look from a logical point of view, but this testosterone thing is always, it's like, I try and fight against being controlled by it, and a lot of women don't understand the concept behind it for a bloke. It's the same as the theory of the what we call the nut syndrome, okay? So, you know, everyone's like, blokes just, you know, revved up. They're in like a different world when we're horny, right? Once it's all done and dusted, it's like a hormonal dump. We turn into this kind of like withering sack of shit, which is just like roll over and go to sleep. And there's a lot of, why is that? It's because we're so pumped up on testosterone, and then just get dumped, okay? And I just think knowing about this is very important. I think there's a lot to be said about that balance. And I'm going to do a longer podcast on it because I think there's a lot more to be. I think it answers a lot of questions. Relationships, the whole balance of careers. You know, we're so obsessed nowadays with getting that balance because it's what needs to be done politically. When it's like, this shit was decided 2 million fucking years ago. You can't change it. I mean, scientifically we can, because you can put hormones into people, and obviously, you know, we've got the whole like gender thing, and you know, that's a different story altogether. But it fucks a lot of people up because you're trying to muck with Mother Nature. But an interesting idea. Obviously another long video, but these things can't be jammed into for a minute. But I'll catch you all later. I hope you're enjoying the weather. My vests have never had so much use. I'm sweating. This thyroid does not like the heat. But peace, people, and thank you for listening all the way through. Hopefully this is interesting. I'm just a guy spreading the shit. See you later. Take it easy.